a sleeping bag or anything?
I'm a tarp.
Okay.
I've seen a couple survival shows. I know what I'm doing.
Okay. All right then. I brought a sleeping bag. I've done a couple survival things. I brought a sleeping bag.
It seems to be something big. I'm gonna get under some trees. It's gonna be a while. You're my guide, I'll follow you.
Yay. I think I'm easily bringing 4 times as much stuff as I normally do. There's a deer right out there looking at us.
Yes, sir. No.
Straight up there.
Oh, yep, there he is. Let's see if I can get a zoom on it. No. Don't move, we're coming. Have you seen Bigfoot?
Tall fella. Poorly shaven.
Unpleasant smell.
Yeah, 2 of them. Hello, ladies. Pay no attention to us. Yep. It's like women everywhere.
Yeah.
As soon as I open my mouth, gone. Oh, thank goodness. Plenty of water, Jeff. We'll be fine. So the trick is going to be finding a good spot that's out of the weather without being too far out of the weather, because with the rain, we don't want to be in amongst too many trees in case it gets thundery and lightningy. And we don't want to be out and exposed in case it's just blowing wind. I know a couple spots that might be good for us. Where the cedar swamp is. Nice, down low, very dense, green all year. I had some trail cams set up down there over the winter. I was trying to catch sights of feral swine, because all the counties around us had sightings of them in reports, and down in Barrington, somebody shot like a 300-pound one last year. I wanted to see if it was clear enough to camp out in. It's over there. And I don't know what it's got for building supplies anymore, but I know it's got good fuel for fire. There's an apple tree with dead branches there, and nothing burns better than dead apple branches. The other spot's over there on the hill near where I did the first time, and actually near where I did it the last time too. Nice, and there'll be a lot less bugs. So that might be good too. It's gonna be nice and damp. I don't know what it is. All the best camping spots are farther away from the best foraging spots. Burdock going, so that's got an edible root. Smaller ones are going to be better. Scrape the shit out of it, or it's bitter. And check. I know where there's some blackberry bushes. And there's some blackberry. And around over in here, and another spot farther off, is usually a good spot to look for leaf bulbs. Which I'm not gonna do right now. I don't have the energy to keep taking this backpack on and off. Some fresh deer tracks.
Oh yeah.
Got a nice platform there if you wanted to set up for night vision if it was nice, you know. Nice little overlook down into the swamp there. You get a lot of animal traffic coming up through here. Pretty sure down in that swamp is where I'm pretty sure the bear has its den. And when I was out last time and I heard the bear at night, I was over at this corner. So the bear is probably, when it comes out, coming up straight through this area. So that would be a nice spot to get a shot of bear. More. I'd also guess there's probably going to be a lot of coyote activity tonight. Here's a nice wet spot. This is a good spot to look for tracks right here. Deer, deer, deer. Too distorted and old for me to tell. Here we go. That's probably raccoon. Hard to tell when they get all warped like that. Nice long fingers on it. Deer, deer. Tractor. Deer. Frog. Deer. Now I'm surprised actually we're not seeing any coyote tracks already. Raccoon track.
Yep. There's a frog. Get it. That's dinner.
I think it spends more energy catching a frog than you get from eating it.
But they are tasty.
Oh, that's true. Point out that. Lots and lots of deer, and that does surprise me that there's not more coyote tracks. Because usually whenever I see deer tracks, if I see more than 5 or 6 individuals, you'll see coyote tracks coming through the same area.
Ooh, that hurt.
You all right, John?
Turned an ankle and it snapped.
We haven't even gotten to a campsite yet.
I'm a city boy.
See, that's a question that I wish I could answer, but I can't because I don't have any definitive first-hand experience. I like to accept the possibility, though. I'm not here or there when it comes to reality or not. I accept that. Definitely, there's certain possibilities. I mean, you can look at it like this. Okay, let's start from the very beginning, which is there evidence to support that such a creature ever did exist? And that's more or less yes.
It's exactly it.
Yes. There, I mean, you could start with Gigantopithecus, which has been some of the strongest, if at the same time sparsest evidence, because all they've ever found is teeth and chunks of jawbone. So beyond, that fire is hot. Beyond what its teeth and lower jaw look like, we don't know much, but it definitely supports the evidence that a giant ape did in fact live. Beyond that, there's the numerous other hominids that lived, and who knows over the past hundreds of thousands of millions of years what evolutionary route they could have taken. One of the interesting things about Gigantopithecus is, if you get down to it, it's always been Sasquatch and Yeti have basically been believed to be regional variations of the same creature. as far back as you go, they've been the most consistently similar in all these myths. And that would actually make sense if you're going with it being a modern day descendant of Gigantopithecus. Because when you look at where Gigantopithecus has been found in China, it's almost right in between. You got your Himalayas, and if you follow the land bridge that other animals followed, you got like the western United States, which is where you get most of your Bigfoot encounters, most of your Bigfoot sightings. So that really would make sense. That Gigantopithecus or some similar, perhaps yet undiscovered, relative thereof, could have migrated along the land bridge, along the Bering Strait, with all those other animals along during the Ice Age, and gone two different directions there. Adapting to the Himalayas, adapting to the American Northwest. Those are distinct possibilities. Sit there and nod at me, Jeff. Or don't contribute.
Well, I'm letting you go because I have a, well, personally definitive answer. So, I like the science behind it. I also took anthropology classes in high school. That was my favorite class. And actually, I brought my books down to your place and we went through them for a while.
I've still got all mine from college and everything.
I think you lent me a couple and I still have them, as a matter of fact.
Entirely possible. They've probably passed back and forth several times. But yeah, well, you follow the migration patterns of the Asian apes, and it makes sense that they could have continued that migration. The problem with the fossil record there is that because of the type of area it is, the climate and the terrain, fossilization is really difficult. You need very specific conditions for fossilization, so you're not going to find the remains of lots and lots of animals that may have lived there. So who knows how many other creatures similar to that, completely dissimilar to that, doesn't matter, lived there, and we never know because they completely decompose. It's hot, it's wet, and things don't fossilize. That's the major problem when you're looking for gaps in the evolutionary record anyway, is the type of habitat, the climate that apes have always lived in is the kind that does not preserve fossil evidence. And you're very lucky when you find any. You mainly find it in areas where there was a sudden and drastic change, like volcanic eruptions, floods, something like that, that would immediately cover the remains and keep them preserved. For the most part, an animal dies and drops anywhere in the jungle or the rainforest, and it's not going to be there in a couple days. Yeah, much less millions of years later.
That's one of the main complaints that Bigfoot naysayers have is we've never come across a dead animal in the woods. Well, you also don't come across dead bears very often.
That's very true. I mean, right here where we are, there are bears. I've heard them, and I've seen their tracks, and I've seen them on one occasion. I've never seen a dead one. We've got coyotes, packs of coyotes. I've seen them. I've heard them. I've never seen a dead one. And just saying that you've never found a dead animal, I don't think is enough to say that it's not there. You know, that's not definitive to me. And that's the thing. There's no real way to disprove. You know, and that's why I lean toward the possibility that it could in fact be there. Because disproving something is the most impossible thing in the world, unless it's something like, I don't know, rocks falling up. And even then, you know, just because you've never seen it, I guess doesn't mean it couldn't happen. We like to think that in the scientific age that we live in, that we have all the answers, but people 100 years ago felt the same way, and 100 years before that, the same way. Humanity's always at this point where it's like, well, we've discovered everything, we know it, and then 10 years down the road, whoa, I didn't know we could do that. And that's one of the things I really like about the Bigfoot story, the Bigfoot myth, is that even if we never record or find definitive proof for the world at large, it's gonna be a myth that lives on forever. It's, like, I don't know. I don't want to upset too many people here, but like religions, well, they can't all be true. But how many people throughout history have, say, worshipped Odin? And is there a single drop of evidence that Odin ever existed? No, but people believe things, and you can't disprove it. So once you believe something, someone tries to tell you that it's not true. There's no, like, how is it not true? Show me how it's not true, and you can't. And it doesn't matter whether it's true or not.
Well, Bigfoot, as a matter of fact, works itself into Native American religions. It's a spirit animal.
Yeah. And that's, I think, where a lot of people sort of hit a wall, is that because it's worked its way into mythology so much.
I think they hit a wall because it's worked its way into pop culture.
Yeah, there's that. A lot of, like, the Native American myths and legends around it, because to them it was very, very real, but at the same time very mysterious, and it took on a more mythical, more almost deity-like aspect, and they get into things like skin changers and things like this, and that makes it so much harder for other people to sort of swallow that story, and I'm losing track of my words. When you strip away the mythology of it and you peel it down to its basics, there's nothing unbelievable about it. Just going back to the lack of evidence thing, there are so many animals out there that very recently we didn't have proof of, or coelacanth,
Extinct for 32 million years, and they pulled one out of the ocean.
Yeah. Mountain gorillas themselves were thought to be a made-up animal by Western culture.
Pandas in the 20th century.
And it wasn't until they managed to capture them and bring them back to zoos that we're like, oh, maybe they are real. The okapi we knew about. I want to say it's like 100 and some, just over 100 years since it was first recorded, I think, by Europeans. And even then there was no proof. They brought pelts back and people thought they were fake. They finally got some in zoos, but I think it was only in the last few years that they were actually ever photographed in the wild. Very recently. And even still today, we're discovering new species and new variations of animals we knew existed, and we find new variations of them. All the time with frogs. I mean, what was that frog they just discovered like 2 years ago? Snakes, different variations of them that we didn't know were there. Birds, everything. And there's no reason that can't happen with primates, large primates. It is a stretch. I'm not gonna lie, it's a stretch to say, oh, there's a large primate living in the woods and no one's seen it. But again, so many animals are shy of us. And can you blame them?
Yeah.
You get into areas of what kind of intelligence would you attribute to it, and a lot of people attribute it with a very human-like intelligence, and I don't even think that's necessary.
No.
Because gorillas...
But bipedalism was around for millions of years before the human intelligence came into being.
Yep. And there's no reason that it would have to be more intelligent than a gorilla or any other ape. Quite frankly, they're very intelligent. We think of them as animals, and subconsciously or maybe even consciously, we then, oh, they're stupid. But when you really watch them and study them, you realize that they are very, very intelligent and quite close to ourselves in their application of the intelligence even. So it wouldn't have to have an actual human level of intelligence.
Some humans don't.
Right?
I've dealt with a few of those.
But then the one issue with that is that the apes that we know of, great apes we know of,
they have a certain curiosity about us. And most of them in the wild will actually sort of study us as we study them. And that's, you hit a little speed bump there, because why then would this other one avoid us like that? Because gorillas, chimps, they don't necessarily hide from us or avoid us. They're sort of like ambivalent most of the time. And they're kind of curious to see what we're going to do. And so what would make this different?
There have been a lot of cases where they have been observed, people have been observed, and they've subsequently seen a Sasquatch or heard vocalizations or what have you and found prints later. Actually, the one known Bigfoot, attributed to Bigfoot fatality, was 1902 or 1903. It was people camping out in the woods, and they felt they were being watched, and a Bigfoot allegedly attacked them in camp and grabbed one of them out of their tent and hauled them away, and he was found dead later. But there have been a lot of cases where Bigfoot peeking in windows, checking out people on trails, and whether it's real or not, a lot of the footage on the internet, well, and on TV shows long before the internet existed, the very few films or tapes of Bigfoot, they're watching people from behind trees and such. So I think they've got a good curiosity, but it's also with a very healthy and earned sense of danger on our part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you bring up an interesting point with the internet and lots more videos coming up, and technology has gotten to the point where, sadly, it's also a lot easier to fake these things. I mean, the ability to replicate, say, Hollywood-level makeup effects from the 60s is now something you or I could do in our basement.
For
and
free
when you look
in
at, say,
half an hour.
Planet of the Apes, I mean, it wouldn't be hard to replicate those costumes. And on a grainy video, oh my gosh, it would look totally real. So that's, and some of these things are so obviously fake that again puts in mind that, well, they're all fake. And they don't, that's not necessarily true. And again, people could be faking it, and the people filming it don't even know. Yeah. That's another thing. It's not always the person filming it who's doing the faking. You could film something fake and think it's real. There's way too many aspects to it that it's, no matter how fake it could or could not be, it doesn't mean it's not sincere, legitimate.
Oh, wow. Hell.
Did you bring a sleeping bag or anything?
I got tarp.
Okay.
I've seen a couple survival shows. I know what I'm doing.
Okay. All right then. I brought a sleeping bag. I've done a couple survival things. I brought a sleeping bag. I was gonna bring another one, but I'm like, no, Jeff brought a sleeping bag.
He's not as dumb as he looks.
I'm not sharing with you.
Matt says we can cuddle.
Yeah. He's home right now, just wishing he was out here spooning. Water all drains out, and you've got all this decayed plant matter, which is now making very rich soil, and this grows up.
Let's be on the final.
So we'll take a look at the other spot, see what you think. And
You gotta make me walk.
I'm gonna make you walk.
Here, I'll give you the camera. You go film it, bring it back.
How about
We have the capability.
yeah, we do, and I didn't bring you out here so you can not do anything.
Access Vision, Your voice, your community.